What's the story, lads? Welcome back to Gaelic Games Fan TV. Mayo are out of the championship. They have been beaten by Derry by a scoreline. In the end, 112 to 15 points is how it finished. But Derry win via a penalty shootout. And oh my goodness me, what a game of football. What drama, what excitement. Like going right down to the wire. I mean, Derry looked like they were gone. They looked like they were beaten. I mean, even in the first half, to be fair, Mayo looked like, you know, they weren't at the races at all. It looked like maybe last week it took too much out of them, mentally, physically. Derry were by far the better side in the first half. Like, a lot more cautious, Derry. Certainly not as gung-ho as they've been in recent weeks. It looks like maybe they've learned quite a lot from, you know, leaving space in behind and everything else. And they seemed a lot more like the Derry of old, you know, the Derry probably of a year ago, you know, or even back as far as the league. Very, very well organised defensively. But look, fair play. Look, you have to credit both teams, really. It's kind of harsh that one of these had to go out, because I think it was a cracking game of football. And did either team really deserve to lose? Probably not. But look, Mayo, you know, and I think we saw there why this Mayo team, in my opinion, aren't good enough to win an All-Ireland, because, you know, that's the third time in the championship this year they blew a lead in a very, very good position. You know, they were 2 points up against Galway going down the stretch in the Connacht final. They were a point up against Dublin with about 20 seconds left. Decided not to drop off the kick out, and obviously Dublin went down the other end and got that point. And to think, if Mayo had hung on there, you know, who knows? I've got the Dublin jersey on. I probably would have been watching Dublin Derry today, and who knows maybe how that game would have went. And then, yeah, like, you know, they in this game, a point up, 2 points up as a matter of fact, and then right at the death, they obviously can't see it out. And look, in fairness, the point at the end was very, very well worked by Derry. Conor Glass obviously hits the post, and they eventually work it brilliantly and get the score. They then go behind in extra time. You're thinking Derry now mentally are better. They're stronger. They're playing the better football. Was it Ethan Doherty stood up hugely in the second half. He was absolutely brilliant. I know he missed the penalty, but he was absolutely brilliant. Lakeland Murray, outstanding in this game as well. I think 5 points from him. Shane McGuigan obviously stood up in extra time as well. And then you're thinking, right, this is Derry's to win. And then Mayo come roaring back, obviously, with Conor Loftus with a brilliant score. Jordan Flynn then gets the leveller. Finishes all square, and you're thinking, right, what way is it going to go now? And even in penalties, you know, Derry, or so I suppose Mayo blinked first. Like, Towie obviously hits the post. Derry then obviously missed. You've got all the fans coming across to the stands as well. So I suppose that plan didn't exactly work out in the end. But yeah, crazy game of football. It's why we love championship football. It's why we love knockout football. And look, it puts Derry right back in the mix. And interesting enough, actually, Derry can't play Armagh, because obviously you know, they already played them obviously in the group. I don't think they can play Donegal either. So it means that Derry's only two opponents will be either Dublin or Kerry. Do you know? So we're going to get a cracker next week, lads. Do you know, it's going to be an absolutely cracking game. But from a Mayo perspective, like, just again, like, not being able to see that game out, very, very disappointing. Like, I think if you're a Mayo fan, geez, you've been through the ringer. You've been through the absolute, like, you know, you must be getting fed up of being a Mayo fan at this stage. I mean, to 3 huge games this year you should have won. You should have seen it out against Galway. You should have seen it out against Dublin. And you should have seen it out today. And you know, game management has been a big problem for Mayo, going as far back as, you know, getting to All-Ireland finals in 16, 17, 13, even 2020 as well, 2021. Game management has always been the problem. You know, game management, seeing games out, being able to navigate through the adversity. And look, Mayo are brilliant when they're chasing a game. Do you know, every time they went behind in this game, they start playing their best stuff. But when they went in front, it was like they didn't know what to do. You know, it was like they didn't know what to do. They were completely stunned, completely shocked. And they almost just allowed Derry come back into it. Like you saw, for example, in extra time, when Mayo were pressing up on Derry's kickouts, and it was like a full press, you saw Derry struggle. Like they were starting losing the ball. They weren't able to play their stuff. But when they went in front, they completely dropped off. And I don't think that suits this Mayo team. You know, this Mayo team are nearly better. Put their foot on the throttle, like, go for it. And they didn't do that towards the end, and they paid the price. But Huge character, it must be said, by Derry. You know, obviously it's been very, very well documented. Some of the problems they've obviously had in recent weeks, some of the defeats, the pressure on Mickey Hart. You know, they were seconds away from going out of this championship. Probably had a few decisions go against them as well. Don't think it was a penalty. I think there was one instance as well where I think Ryan O'Donoghue hit McGuigan in the face. I don't think it was intentional now, in fairness, but it was a free. Probably should have been a yellow card. Like Derry were probably a little bit unlucky there. Aidan O'Shea probably should have got free the other end. I remember at one stage as well. But look, in the end, look, I think if Derry had lost this game, they couldn't have blamed decisions. Do you know that way? Like, couldn't have blamed the officials. And I saw some Mayo fans giving out that, you know, the game obviously finished with, or finished 75 minutes when there was 4 minutes of injury time. But to be fair, you know, there was a player down, like there was a Derry player down, like the referee was well within his right there to play the extra period. In fairness, Brendan Rodgers, like how good was he in this game as well? 2 points, and obviously so integral right at the death in normal time as well, like playing that pass, you know, in the build up to the score after Conor Glass had hit the post. So yeah, an extraordinary day of football, lads. Obviously Roscommon beaten Tyrone as well. Watched a bit of that earlier. Absolutely incredible, really. Tyrone were so poor, and it was so comfortable for Roscommon. It was kind of bizarre watching it because, you know, Tyrone are supposed to be the experienced team. They're supposed to be the team that has been in those games, has won those games. I know that there's a few young lads in there, but you've still got Michael McKernan and Noel Morgan. I mean, Dara Canavan was part of the 2021 panel that won the All-Ireland. Pretty sure he was anyway. I don't think he started now, but I'm pretty sure he was in the panel. Like, they've experienced lads in there. And Roscommon were absolutely brilliant. Dara Craig, what a player he is. I mean, there was rumours about him going to the AFL. You know, you don't want that, lads. You don't want him going to the AFL or any of that crack. Connor Cox looks reinvigorated. And look, a big win for the Rossies. They can't obviously play Dublin in the next round as well. So, you know, at least they'll avoid Dublin. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the draw, because there's so many teams that can't play each other. I have a funny feeling they're just going to scrap it and it's just going to be an open draw or something like that. And obviously your front four teams or your four group winners obviously will be seeded or whatever. But yeah, crazy game, crazy day of football. Obviously Galway beating Monaghan as well. Only seen little bits of that. Dublin obviously losing earlier today in the hurling to Cork. I mean, probably expected me. It was very early where I am currently on holiday in Miami. So yeah, someplace, lads, someplace. I won't complain. And look, to be fair, I always expected Cork to win that game. But look, all in all, fair play to Mayo, or fair play to Derry. Look, fair play to both teams. You have to give them both credit. Mayo will be absolutely kicking themselves. I mean, to go toe-to-toe with the All-Ireland champions and then a week later be knocked out of the championship, like, I hate to say it, but it is the most Mayo thing ever. Do you know what I mean? It's the history of the Mayo, whatever way you want to put it. And they'll be absolutely kicking themselves. Where does Kevin McStay go from here? I'd be very curious to know what Mayo fans think. You know, has it really worked, Kevin McStay in charge of Mayo so far? Have they progressed? Do they actually look better under Kevin McStay than they did under James Horan? I'm not entirely sure that they do. Like, they did win a league. They were they lost to Derry, who are a very, very good side. They don't look a million miles away, Mayo, but they're just lacking that killer instinct or that sort of big game sort of mentality in terms of pushing on, seeing out games, and they can't quite seem to get any big wins in the championship under their belt at the moment. I know they beat Kerry last year, but that was in a sort of nothing game, do you know what I mean, in the group stages. So yeah, like, I'd be curious to know what Mayo fans think. Does Kevin McStay go? Who else would you bring in? Do you know, like, there's probably, I wouldn't be entirely sure now who you would bring in all honesty. But and look, for Derry, like, they're back in the mix. You can't discount them now. If it is Dublin they play next week, I certainly hope it's on the Sunday, because I'll be mid-air on the Saturday. So Jesus, like being mid-air for what, 8-9 hours and not knowing the final result. I mean, that's Jesus. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the pilot can let me know or something. But look, all jokes aside, big win for Derry. Man of the match for me, I think I'll go with Lakeland Murray. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I think 5 points in total, outstanding in the first half. Yeah, he was absolutely brilliant. Like, Shane McGuigan was quiet-ish, but he stood up more as the game went on. Brendan Rodgers, absolutely brilliant as well. And to be fair, we questioned some of Derry's big players in recent weeks, and they stood up today. Mayo, do you know what? Do you know what else as well? I think big mistake by Kevin McStay taking off Aidan O'Shea. I know there was a minute or two left, but the game wasn't done. The game wasn't over. Like, you want Aidan O'Shea on the pitch there just to see that game out, just his presence, get him back in a defensive position. You know, he might put someone off shooting because of the height of him, like, and then not bringing him back on. I don't know if it was an injury or what the crack was, but I just thought that was a poor mistake thing from Kevin McStay to take Aidan O'Shea off and not bring him back on. A little bit unusual there, because I thought he had a very, very good game for Mayo, and his reception, in fairness, was absolutely brilliant from a Mayo perspective. And yeah, like, what's going to happen with him next year? Could that be it with Aidan O'Shea? Killian O'Connor, these lads, it's absolutely mental to think. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the game. Huge congratulations to the Rossies. Imagine Roscommon going further in the championship than Mayo. Who would have thought that? Might go on to Twitter and give our ref a bit of stick or something. But yeah, look, absolutely mental. Galway obviously progressing as well. And poor old Mayo will have to watch their big rivals next week in the quarterfinals. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the game. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. We'll speak to you all soon.